Jr., total stud. Kevin Holland, total stud. Very different paths. One won, one lost. One stock went up and the other didn't, and it's not the one that won, it's not the one that lost. Stop right there. Let me explain. Rosas Jr. gets done. I will never pick on Rosas Jr., at least not for a couple of years. He's a boy. He's a boy, and he's coming up. And I think he's doing a great job, by the way. I think he's wildly talented, by the way. He has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which you want to use and you want to maximize, but you also feel the pressure in it. You're also in the back, and you're the youngest guy. And you guys can all relate to that. You should probably have to put yourself in that position. Even you tough guys out there. You tough guys, when you were fifth graders, where I went to school, as 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. You tough guys, when you were fifth graders, were you ready to take over the school? Or did you look around and say, I'm a little bit too young? I don't know if I can beat that 8th grade or not, but he looks intimidating to me. Rinse and repeat. When you were a freshman, even you tough guys, did you think you could take over the school? Did you look to those juniors and seniors and say, man, I better stay out of those hallways? It's the way it goes. Now you got Rosas. Rosas signed at 17. He's already found himself in a back and forth with Aljo, who was the champion of the world. Now, Rosas stood his ground. I don't know how much of it he actually meant, but he stood his ground. That'd be a hard position, wouldn't it? Be a very hard position. And it was a hard position. He went out there and he got very fatigued in the match. He learned about exhaustion. He learned that what people have told him, the jab and the cross and the slip are the most important thing. They're not. Conditioning is. And then learning how to win a match, which means taking that condition and learning where to use it so that you can preserve it. He learned that. We didn't know if he learned it. We didn't know after that loss that he learned it. We knew that that was exposed to him. But he still had to deal with all the things that I just said, except now with a loss and people questioning him instead of being on the bandwagon. It was a very different spot for a young man. I'm going to call him a boy. I know that he's 18. But I also know he still lives at home and doesn't have his full education yet. To me, that's a boy. I'm not going to go by the law. And that's not somebody I'm going to give a hard time to. Somebody I was very impressed with. And he goes out, he deals with the adversity that he dealt with prior. Now he's got to walk out, right? He's a Mexican athlete brought into Mexican Independence Day. There's pressure on that, guys. Youngest guy on the card, coming off not only a loss, he's coming off of a stoppage loss. It's a big deal. And he did learn from that night. And he does still believe in himself. And what he did was great. And when it was over, I mean, all the buildup to get to this point, when it was over, he talked about, I'm going to be champion. I'm going to break all the records. I'm going to be the biggest star this sport has. Stop. They don't go hand in hand. Those things are not related. And I know that young athletes think that they are. And we can see this over and over. And I can hold class in session. You can watch. I can't force you to understand the content. They don't go hand in hand. If you were to have all the records in terms of the competition, you're to win more fights than anybody. Is that one of the records? You're the championship fastest. And what do you want to do? What kind of records are we talking about that you're going to have? That doesn't equal star. We have champions right now who aren't stars. We had a champion close out the night, that very night, who's not a star. I mean, they're not the same thing. And I don't bring it to you because he said or did anything wrong. I bring it to you because it's a psychology and understanding that you've got to master at a young age, because it will be refined over and over and over again. And the few people that do understand it are not going to give it to you. They're not going to hand you what those answers are. But it's really incumbent, and there's a big piece of the riddle. Taking his own words, but it's a big piece of the riddle. How, if I become champion, and how, if I break all the records, can Chael say I'm not going to be a star? They don't go hand in hand. We have many champions right now who've never even been a main event. They can't draw in a co-main event. We have to put them in the spot because they happen to have a belt. They don't go hand in hand. I'm going to use Kevin Holland as the other side of that. Kevin Holland did not win, but he was in a much bigger placement. You guys watch that show with the volume up. Nobody got a pop of the night of Kevin Holland, and Jon Anik revealed that ticket sales themselves completely changed when Kevin Holland got put on the card. I don't believe Kevin Holland won his last fight. Now, that's off the top of my head, but off the top of my head, his last fight was Chimaev. Did he have one in between, guys? He likes to stay awfully busy. Yeah, he did. As a matter of fact. He had Chiesa. He just fought. I'm just sharing with you, the point is still the same. Like, it doesn't matter if on a win or a loss, Kevin Holland's not going to look any different. He's not going to act any different. He's not going to stop calling people out. Matter of fact, he lost that night to Jack Della Lima, who most people didn't know. I mean, there's a huge pop for Kevin Holland. Nobody cheered for Jack. I've been telling you guys about Jack, but I'm just sharing. Like in the heat of that moment, it for sure was Kevin, which would then add to the theory that John Anik revealed for us. But when that fight was over, we had guys that won fights, well, including Rosa Jr., who didn't call anyone out. Kevin Holland lost the fight. He called Neil Magny out instantly, and then he even made it funny and put it on a hair match. Now, you could say that's a silly gimmick all you want, but when Kevin Holland does it, all of a sudden you realize, man, he's not joking around. What, do you think that's cool? They're going to shave each other's heads? It's way beyond the point. But there is an attitude that you lose with. Whether you're ready or you're not ready, we will believe you. We have people that claim they're black belts. I don't think any of them have lied. But 0 of them since 1993 have ever been verified. None. Wouldn't even consider doing it. You say you're a black belt, we say you're a black belt too. If you say, I'm not quite ready, we're not going to come in and build you up and go, yes, you are. You look great. God, how do you not see it? You are. As soon as those words come out of your mouth, it's over. I will not fight my teammate, even if you really will. As soon as it's said, it's over. And I just share it for you that Kevin Holland will never, I mean, he follows the golden rule in business. It doesn't matter if it's this business. You could be in office wearing a suit. Don't ever let him see you sweat. Whatever the situation, however bad your pitch ends up being received, don't ever let them see you sweat. It will unravel quickly. If you don't act like a boss, you're not a boss. I know people that think that they're bosses because they got a promotion somewhere or they had a nice resume and somebody picked them. That is not the way it works. It is an attitude. You're a boss or you aren't. And I'm not going to ask your subordinates. I'm not going to ask the other people. I'm going to ask you. Are you a boss or are you not? Kevin Holland lost and Rosa won. If they were to fight together on the same card next time, I don't know what the placement will be. But Kevin Holland will be over an hour later. That I can tell you. You guys want to disagree with that. This isn't all to pick on Rosa. It's a great point that Rosa brought up. And it is one that people make all the time. If I win more matches or I have a title, it wouldn't matter what records you broke. A lot of times they do go hand in hand. A lot of times they are simultaneous. It's not an if-then statement. But it's definitely not a then-if statement either. So sometimes you got to choose. Which do you want to be? And it takes a balance of both, right? If you're not winning fights, you're not within the organization. If you're not within the organization, you're not on TV. If you're not on TV, you're not getting interviews. If you're not getting interviews, you can't build a base. But it doesn't matter how many times you walk into that cage, you will never be a star without the interview. There are people who have never gotten the cage but have only done the interview that are stars. You guys think the pay structure in MMA goes Dana White, Conor McGregor. You're wrong. It goes Dana White, Joe Rogan. 2 guys, by the way, who have never gotten the cage with short mouth and mouthpiece, right? But they do the interviews. I'm just sharing with you. I'm trying to prove my point here. And there's a meaningful difference and there's a real lesson there. And I think that both guys did a really great job. Rosa came back from a lot and proved himself and showed himself and held his head high. And he did it in front of an audience that was expecting a lot from him. And he did it as an 18-year-old. There's a lot on that to be very, very proud of and grow from. Kevin Holland is the other side of that coin. But Kevin Holland is a jiu-jitsu practitioner, and particularly from his back. There was not 1 second of that fight that they grappled. And don't forget, you don't have to have a takedown to have grappling. You can clinch. Randy Couture won fights from the clinch. People think he's up there striking. He's not striking. That's grappling. He's a Greco-Roman wrestler. Go watch Greco-Roman wrestling. That's what he's doing. And he's making it dirty, right? He's making it, I understand that, but he's still wrestling. There wasn't 1 second of that fight where they did what Kevin Holland wanted to do. 15-minute brawl. He brawled with him. You guys didn't know he had that in him, but he did. He's awesome. He did a great job. And then he went right into calling out Magny. And that was a miss by Jack. Jack should have also called out an opponent. And in my opinion, that opponent should have been Ian Gary.